to Haunted Hangover Haunt Reviews, another installment. It's that time of the year. I'm Louie, and I'm joined by Chris.
Hello again.
And you and I, twice this season.
We've had a saga.
We've had a saga. We've visited Six Flags Great Adventure Fright Fest Extreme 2024.
This was the first time in nearly 20 years that I've been to Six Flags and then broke that streak twice in 1 month.
I've bitched about Six Flags a lot, so I'm going to spare everyone's eardrums and not, in the last live we did, Manny and I talked. Yes. I said I would make it quick. You even made fun of me. I said I'd make it quick and only bitch for a few minutes.
A quick 20 minutes. A quick 20 minutes.
A quick 20-minute tirade from me about our first experience at Six Flags Fright Fest for 2024, for the 2024 season.
Fright Fest Extreme.
Extreme. I got to make sure I add that in every single time because that's new for this year, the whole Extreme tagline.
I will say that is not an applicable thing.
There's nothing extreme about Six Flags.
Nothing extreme?
Fright Fest. But if you missed my 20-minute, I'll give you a quick Cliff Notes version. Here at the top.
We're going to insert that right here.
No,
20 minutes.
I'm going to cut it into the show. No. Chris and I went opening weekend and learned a day or two prior that Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme 2024 was in previews for that weekend when they were initially advertising it as the full-blown event because it was Friday the 13th the day before, and what better time to start than Friday the 13th, the Halloween event in September. And when we went there, nothing was open. We had a lovely day. We got on a bunch of roller coasters and rides and had fun.
Great day.
They had
some pretzels, some beer.
We got on 2 haunts that they had, which we'll get into those later when we go through all the haunted attractions. But it was basically a half-ass version of
incredibly
Fright Fest. Yeah, the park was barely decorated. So initially when I was bitching and complaining, we didn't know why, but it seems like the reason why Six Flags was having this problem this year was because of inspection certification.
Right. New Jersey State.
Yeah.
Was dragging their feet on giving Six Flags the necessary inspections to get these haunts open. So, yeah, I guess not entirely Six Flags' fault, but I'm not going to be too lenient on them because of that.
Yeah, and I said it a while ago and a few episodes ago. I was rooting for them this year because it looked like they were really going to push forward and make this a big deal.
We were talking yesterday, the last time you went that they had an IP, it was Hellfest.
Yeah,
which,
I'm pretty sure.
Hellfest, not exactly, a cultural staple in the horror world. Yeah. This is a big deal to have these pretty massive size IPs, like working with Netflix and working with the Conjuring universe and Lionsgate for Saw. They had some pretty heavy hitter IPs in the horror world. So it was very anticipated. That's the best way to describe it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Very well anticipated.
When you see that type of stuff, you think Halloween Horror Nights because they're kind of the kings.
The big guys.
Yeah. They're the king of kind of IP haunted houses based on movies, shows, video games, etc. So the fact that Six Flags got their hands on a couple of IPs was a big deal. And like I said, I was rooting for them. I was like, you know what? I have not been since 2018 when that Hellfest haunted attraction was, and that was kind of a glorified promotion for the film because the movie was coming out that month. But that was the last time I went. So I hadn't been in a few years, and I'm repeating myself here, but I always told myself, I'm not going to go back. I love Six Flags as a park to get on roller coasters. I have a nostalgia for it.
They have some great roller coasters. They really do.
And to get on those, it's a blast. So I'm not going to knock Six Flags for that as an amusement park. Could they, maybe keep up some maintenance and make some of these roller coasters look a little prettier, maybe paint them here and there.
Choo Choo Bye.
Yeah.
Choo Choo Bye.
Yes, we're not going to talk about Choo Choo Bye right now, but yeah, Choo Choo Bye. That's a reference for one of the roller coasters Chris and I got on. But yeah, like there's certain little things you can nitpick about the theme park itself. You know, maybe they could, the upkeep, I guess. And again, that's just a guy who's a theme park enthusiast, and I go to Universal Studios and Knott's Berry Farm and Disney World, which is, you know, insanity when it comes to kind of the way they maintain their attractions and stuff. So I can't put Six Flags on that bar because it's a smaller brand.
Right. But I mean, in you know, in the Northeast here, it is pretty well known as a top attraction in the Northeast. I mean, like going back to the 90s and stuff, it was the place where the Looney Tunes characters were. Like it was
Batman.
well known, you know?
Yeah, Batman,
right?
Presence.
Like yeah. There was, I guess, like an expectation that, you know, spoiler alert, I don't think they lived up to.
Now, I'm glad you said that. I want to be as positive. I don't want us to completely shit.
Yeah,
on
no.
Flags
I'm
Fright
not
Fest
saying I didn't have a good
2024.
time, but like I said, I think there was expectations that weren't met.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think at this point, you know, I'm going into this as a guy who's been going to haunts my entire life, basically.
Right.
So I can't compare what they're doing to even something like Not Scary Farm. That's just the next level. I can't compare it to a local haunt we have here in New York, you know, Headless Horseman Hayride, or even Blood Manor in the city. Right. So I can't compare this to that because that's a labor of love. If you open up a haunted attraction on your own, family run or individual just decides, there's a certain level of detail and execution that person's going to put into it. There's a labor of love behind that.
Right.
This is an amusement park. Yeah, this is an amusement park trying to get people into the door, and asses technically not in seats because these are not rides. You're not sitting down. You're walking through them. But
they're trying to make money.
They're trying to make money. So I got to look at it from a consumer, I guess.
Right.
You know, just that's basically what it is. You know, not someone like me or you or any Halloween or horror enthusiast. We know what to expect going into these events compared to some of the, I don't want to use the word better, but the top tier kind of haunted attraction events or Halloween theme park events, etc.
Now, you know what this was like? It's an accessible haunt.
It's good for kids.
That's what
teenagers.
it is. It's accessible for everybody. That's exactly what it is.
It's for families and stuff like that. And you know, Friday night, you're 17, you want to go with your friends to an amusement park. This is what you go to. You get on a roller coaster. You know, if you don't get in all the haunted attractions because of the long waits, it's not a big deal. But for someone like us who, you know, we want to jump on here and review it and talk about our experience, it's kind of vital to do that. All right. So to start with our experience first entering the park, and we're mostly going to talk about our second experience here. We're not really going to dive into the first one too much. Again, I already did that in the live episode.
Yeah.
So we walk in. We already knew where all the haunts were.
Right.
So one weird thing that happened, and I don't know if this is just logistics to the park, is so when you enter Six Flags, at least our park, Great Adventure Fright Fest Extreme 2024, you need to get a wristband because I guess if you're already in the park, you can hang out in the park, but you can't go through the mazes. You can't go through the haunted attractions. But what's weird is we had comp tickets. I had our original tickets from the...
So we had comp tickets because of what happened to us the first time.
Yes.
As Louis mentioned, we went for this specific event and we were told that it was a modified half-assed version.
Yeah.
And we would be granted tickets to come back an additional time.
Yeah. So we go in the park. They scan our tickets, the comp tickets that we got. No one in the front of the park mentioned to us that we need a wristband to go through the haunts. Right. So that was weird. We knew where and we're not going to get into the haunts just yet. We have we're going to go through them one by one briefly. But we knew where the Stranger Things house was, so we ran over there because we had a feeling that and The Conjuring would be probably the most in demand, the ones with the most waits and long waits and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's just knock that one out first, because we were going for the haunts, not really rides. We didn't ride any rides.
Right.
We just went for the event because we didn't get to do any of that. So we run to Stranger Things and we start noticing there's a line, pretty decent size, not too bad line for Stranger Things. And we start noticing that the signs in the park in front of the haunts say wristband required. So we were confused.
All haunted maze entry.
Yeah, we were confused because we were like, what the hell? No one in the front of the park that scanned our ticket for this event even mentioned needing a wristband. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a fail from the beginning. So we were like, oh shit, we have to get off this line. So we went luckily to like
we're pissed. We're like, we're not paying for wristbands after we already paid for tickets that, didn't do what they were supposed to do the first time. So
it's kind of annoying.
Not a great start, 10 minutes into the park.
We thought we had to walk all the way back to the front, but luckily one of the shops, it was like the Batman shop next to the Dark Knight coaster, they were giving out wristbands, and that's where you could buy a fast pass, you can get your wristband, etc. So we go in there, we show them the comp tickets, they scan those don't work. Luckily, I still had our original day-night tickets on my phone. They scanned those and then those worked, which I was surprised because they scanned those when we went to the park initially. So if you're going to this event and your intentions are to get into the haunted attractions, into the haunted maze, you want to check all the mazes out, make sure you get your wristband at the front of the park before you run over to an event. I
will say they at nearly all of the haunts that we then went to, there was an attendant or a security of some kind at the front checking for the wristband. So they did do an okay job of that.
I'm not going to lie, though. I feel like as the night progressed, they just sort of started giving up on checking wristbands, I think. Some of these, there was a couple of haunts we went through, and I don't think anyone asked us, like, hey, let's see your wristband. So I think they kind of gave up little by little. But nonetheless, you need a wristband to enter them. We were confused. It happens. I guess just the organization of the park is kind of all over the place. They do need to come up with a better system. Like at the front of the park, there should be someone with wristbands checking your ticket. Hey, I know they have security and all that, but like, okay, you're going with the event. I just went to another Halloween event and they give out wristbands as well. And they give them to you as you're entering the park. Why would you? I get that you want to separate people, but if people are entering the park with these wristbands, you should just be giving them to people at 6 o'clock.
Right. And mind you, I'm sure that people listening to this episode are going to go, well, why didn't you guys tell them that you were there for Fright Fest? Our comp tickets that we were given literally said Fright Fest on them. So
whatever. Yeah, it was just a kind of a little nuisance. I guess
annoying,
nitpicky, a nuisance for us, kind of just walking into the park that there was no structure, that we had to get off the line and run back. Now, park decorations. How is this park decorated? And this is a guy who's been going to Six Flags his entire life. I will admit, outside of maybe the front, which we'll get into when we talk about the scare zones, and maybe the creepy music and the occasional fog blast, there's not a lot of decorations. Yeah, it's pretty hit and miss throughout the park. I remember previous years. There's one year specifically that stands out to me that I went back in maybe the early 2000s, late 90s, where they had cobwebs throughout the entire park. One year they had an inflatable like a giant jack-o'-lantern. I took a picture in front of it. We actually reviewed that. That was before I was in camera, in front of the camera personality like I am now. Sam did it. Sam, Haunted Hangover crew member.
Shout out Sam.
Shout out to Sam. And I even years ago, like I was saying originally, I remember going one year and they had either zombies or dummies hanging between trees. And it was just felt like they added more decorations to the park. Mm-hmm. This year, with minus the iconic blood red fountain, I feel like they didn't really decorate the park outside of the scare zones. Like the scare zones have some stuff, obviously, a lot of fog, etc., but not a lot of ambiance throughout the rest of it, minus it being dark.
I don't remember scary music playing anywhere but the entranceways to the haunts and the scare zones. So other, as you're passing through an area of the park, I wish it was more like you walk past the old Batmobile. There was really nothing there to differentiate from daytime Six Flags to nighttime Fright Fest, you know? Yeah. And I get it. Like it's a hard switch, especially if they're not closing the park down to do that stuff between the events. But like, I wish it was a little bit more than, you know, fog and a couple of people with fake chainsaws walking around.
Yeah, like I remember going years ago, and even the initial, when you walk into security, that front desk, there was one year they had a bunch of coffins lined up and scary faces and cobwebs all over the Six Flags sign in the front. There was none of that.
We went the first time when we went, they had the Looney Tunes characters in costume for Halloween, but I didn't see them there yesterday. Maybe it was there only a during the day thing, right? Like, but I didn't see that aspect like brought over to last night either.
Yeah, during the day they do their Boo Fest thing for
the
kids
kids stuff.
You know, you ride in like a little truck and get candy at the end, and you see a little ghost hidden in the woods, and then they have the meet and greets with the characters dressed up in costume.
Right.
But at night they really didn't. I just feel like they could have done more, even with the front of the park. I remember going into the front of the park and being so excited and like, oh man, this is so cool. Seeing,
they have, you know, like the planter at the very front entrance there as you're walking in that has the big Fright Fest Extreme logo on it. But like, yeah.
Before, dude, I'm telling you, there was one year they had a bunch of coffins lined up. That shit was so sick.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sure. I feel like
cobwebs, weird, kind of just to kind of hold back on that. Now, the scare zones, this is another... Scare zones are hit and miss always, even at Halloween Horror Nights, at Not Scary Farm, even though I still say Not Scary Farm is the king of theme park Halloween events. But here, it's kind of the standard stuff. I think the most iconic scare zone is called the Bloody Fountain, which is right at the front of the park where you've got this big pumpkin-headed monster, and we took a picture in front of this statue of this pumpkin-headed creature with wings. The blood red fountain, lots of fog,
coffins, hearses, that's
the main. That's a main. The coffin photo op. We also did that where you can sit inside of a coffin in front of the fountain. That's been there for years. That's been a photo op people have always done as far back as I could remember. But that's probably the best. I actually have a list here of all of them. These are the names of all the scare zones. The Bloody Fountain, The Curse of Blackbeard's Bounty, Carnival, Demon District, and Exile Canyon. We walked through all of them. Some were emptier than others with scare actors and props. Carnival's been there for years. That's the standard kind of evil clown haunt that you walk through the center.
Right, by the games. Down the boardwalk area.
Giant Jack in the Box that's scary, and fog, a lot of fog. Again, you're gonna hear that word a lot. Tons of fog. Evil clowns holding axes and knives and stuff like that. And you know what I will say, when we walk through the Carnival section, those scare actors were trying. They were trying to scare people. They
absolutely.
were into it.
I put a video up on Instagram yesterday. Like a very well done. Like that one, I feel like was pretty well done. There was a lot of movement, a lot of you know, excitement coming out of that area, a lot of fog, again, as we mentioned.
Kinetic energy
I think that one was pretty, exactly. I think that one was pretty well done.
Yeah, that was probably the one, and that's been there. I think last time I was there 5-6 years ago, Carnival was still a thing. So again, you know, most of these haunted attractions and events, they never fail with the evil killer clown. That's always something you're going to see at every Halloween event. And there's plenty of that at Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme. And then the other ones, honestly, you're running around so much.
Blackbeard's what?
We walked through that one. It was like
I genuinely don't even remember.
There was like like half a ship or something, and some skeletons, and then like pirate dressed zombies. They're all pretty basic. You can run. There's so many people, and you're kind of rushing to get to the next thing that you just kind of skim through them and don't even realize. And you know, a lot of these scare actors in these scare zones are going after the kids and the women and the people. They want to get that reaction. Yeah. Not to say women are the only ones scared. Men get scared too, but they're going after the people that they hear screaming and
easier scares.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, the scare zone actors never run up to me, never try. Like sometimes they'll go on my face, and then I'd just not. You can see them coming. It's pretty bright, you know.
Yeah.
But Scare zones or whatever. Again, I feel the same way about any other Halloween theme park event. Scare zones are usually just getting from one haunt to the other, kind of preparing you, setting the ambiance. I wouldn't shit on it too much. I wouldn't give it too much.
No. I think it serves the purpose of what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's supposed to enhance the experience while you're within the park.
Yeah.
You know?
And in this case, probably the Bloody Fountain and Carnival are the two best in the park.
Yeah.
The Bloody Fountain, even when the event starts, over the intercom throughout the park, you hear Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme is about to start, and
warning sirens are blaring.
People. Yeah, so, and no one leaves the park, so it's not that terrifying, I guess. So the scare zones are cool. No big kind of con or issue with them. They serve their purpose. Shows. Now, we did see one of the shows, the big one, Dead Man's Party. We saw it on our first visit because we had the time to see it because all the other haunts were not open. Standard kind of, I would call it, I'm trying to think. Most theme parks, especially like Universal Studios, does this too now, where it's a park where you've got zombies dancing to pop music.
It's like a theatrical
popular songs.
Yeah.
It's literally Dead Man's Party is a bunch of zombies dancing to really popular songs. And it was pretty entertaining. The stage was set up really nice.
Absolutely. They were all really well choreographed.
Yeah.
Like the actors, performers,
dancers,
whatever you want to call them in that. Yeah, dancers. They're doing some cool moves. There were some cool fireworks, and I thought that one was a blast.
They had like a little Billie Eilish in there, some Rob Zombie. I think they performed Dragula. They did a bunch. Yeah, it was good. It's a fun 15, 20-minute long show. It's not offensive.
Right, yeah.
It's stuff like this takes me back to being a kid and going to these events because they always had even like some of them had the dancing, singing pop culture reference. Back in Halloween Horror Nights, they used to have the Bill and Ted Halloween Hootenanny or whatever it was called. And it would just be a show themed around dancing, singing, and pop culture stuff. This is more leaning into the dance and music portions with a tinge of spookiness. They did Oingo Boingo, No One Lives Forever, Dragula, like I said, Billie Eilish, some other pop songs I did not recognize.
Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah, Ballroom Blitz. There you go. So kind of like Rocky Horror with zombies, less dialogue.
And it takes place in the set of the old Batman
show, which is cool.
Arkham Chemicals.
Yeah, the Access Chemicals building, which has been
Access Chemicals.
It's been there since 1989, 90,
that
92.
Thing's been there forever.
I mean,
there used to be a Batman show in there, and now
I don't even know if they do it anymore. I
don't think so.
Yeah, they just keep it to run different seasonal shows, I'm guessing. So the show was good. If you're going to the event either now or even in the future, always try to see one show. There were a few other shows, like a freak show, smaller shows like sprinkled throughout the park.
Fire drumming one that we saw.
Yeah, we did see some of that. That was like a metal. There's like Papa Roach and really shitty new metal songs. You're right. It was like a bunch of drummers and a guitar player and like fire jugglers.
It was called something like Fire Drum or something like that. Like very, very cheesy.
We saw a little bit of it, but again, it works for a Halloween event.
It's cool. It's like, you're watching a bunch of people like do their thing. Yeah. It's harmless.
These shows are a good place to grab a drink and kill 15 minutes and enjoy your drink. If you're not waiting in long lines, which you probably will be because this is a Halloween event. But the shows were good. Again, if you're going in the future, I would say plan your day out properly. If you want to see the shows, get a fast pass, and we'll get into that in a second. Because you're not going to, if you don't have the time and you want to get through every haunt, get a fast pass. And if you want to see the shows, because you're not going to have enough time. The park was open when we went. Technically 6 p.m. to midnight, 6 hours. That is not enough time to go through 9 haunts and watch even one show. You're going to be rushing through the park. So if you want to see shows,
we were keeping track of the times on like the line checkers and all that.
Yeah,
some of these wait times were up to 140 minutes. That's 2 hours and 20 minutes of waiting in line at a 6-hour event.
We went twice, so the first time were able to sit down and watch the shows because we had the time. We had gone through 2 of the haunts that they only had open, so we saw 2 shows for that reason, and we got drinks, etc. So we had that. So I recommend if you want to see the shows and ride ride walk through all of the haunted attractions and take your time, get a fast pass, because I could tell you right now, without that, you're not going to watch any of the shows. Yeah. It's not happening.
You're eating up time just waiting in line.
It's not happening. And with that, let's jump into the actual haunted attractions. So,
here we go.
We've got 9 haunted attractions. We'll briefly run through each one because we'll be here all day. So we'll just kind of sprinkle our thoughts through each one, and then we'll rank them and see. I don't think we know each other's order. We talked about it yesterday, but we didn't give each other the final order from best to worst. So here are the list of haunts for Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme 2024. You got Stranger Things. That was a big one for this year. You've got The Conjuring Universe, Saw, Legacy of Terror. It's the 20th anniversary, time of this recording, of the original Saw. So this movie kind of ties that all together. Army of the Dead, which was that Netflix Dave Bautista zombie movie that Zack Snyder directed. Yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also the Netflix film that came out 2 years ago, I think.
Just the Netflix film, not the legacy of the series, just the Netflix film.
Just that last film that came out 2 years ago. Trick or Treat, Little Sam.
2007.
Yeah.
Anthology film.
Big Halloween one. I'm sure listeners know what the movie is. And then these are the original haunts. These are not IP tied. You got Big Top Terror.
6 IPs and 3 originals.
Big Top Terror, The Asylum, The Witch's Reflection.
I just need to add haunts. Big Top Terror 3D.
3D, my bad. 3D. I missed that detail. Yes, we did wear 3D. We did wear 3D glasses in that one. Now let's run through each one briefly here. And our anticipation, which I would say, again, we said we ran to Stranger Things, not because we were anticipating it. I think it's because we thought it would be the busiest one, and we were right. It was probably one. Right. That and The Conjuring Universe were probably the longest waits.
Right. Well, I will say the Stranger Things one, I feel like for Six Flags is the anchor of their IPs. It's on all the billboards as you're driving in. It's on the signage everywhere. I think that's kind of their big driving one. I mean, I get it. It's hugely popular. So if you're gonna market with that one first.
It's a big show.
Say it's the most popular of the IPs that they have there, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Even on the way home, we saw a billboard on the highway and Vecna's face right there, front and center. So they're really promoting Stranger Things, I guess, to get asses through the door.
Kind of the centerpiece of their Fright Fest Extreme.
I mean, I get it. When Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights happened a few years ago, and they first got that, because I went the year that they did the first Stranger Things haunted house. Right. That was a big selling point for them. They were really promoting it in the trailers, like the commercials. They did the little teaser trailer for the event, and Stranger Things was, the upside down and all that. It was a big deal for them. So I get it. Now the haunt. Now to talk about the Stranger Things haunt. Now this was basically an amalgamation of all the seasons mixed into one. And the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this haunted attraction is, and this might have just been because it was the first one we went through yesterday evening, time of this recording, it was empty. It was basically an empty. They had a facade that looked like sort of the outside of it had like, and I give them credit, they tried.
School gymnasium.
It was the Hawkins High School. Yeah. It was like the Hawkins High School, and then it was supposed to look like they were putting a haunted house. Or they were trying to make like the facade, the faux facade was supposed to be the Hawkins High School haunted attraction. So there was little signs that plastered outside in balloons. And the first room you walk through is like a locker room or a school hallway.
Right, yeah.
But most of it is kind of you're walking through, you see a kid wearing a jack-o'-lantern mask trying to scare you. You see lockers, kind of beastal decorations on the walls. Then you see a Demogorgon, a guy in a suit, which was probably one of the highlights. He was like in the wall, if I remember correctly.
Reaching out for you.
Eddie Munson's in there in a giant empty room with a trailer.
In a giant empty room.
What did you see? I didn't notice it. You told me that you noticed like a projection on the wall of bats.
Right. Of the demo bats. Yeah, the demi bats, whatever they were called, like on the wall. And I assume the scare actor is meant to, because he's got a stick and he's doing this motion with it, and I assume he's meant to be fighting those projections of the bat on the wall. It just
there was a hazmat suit guy that jumps out
like
at
the
you.
Hawkins Lab people. Yeah,
no 11. Or at least when we went through, we did not see an 11 character.
None of the main cast of characters, period.
Someone was dressed up as Sam. I did see someone jump out at me because I saw the red wig and the backpack. I think that was supposed to
Max.
be Max, not Sam. Sorry, Max. Who's Sam?
I don't know. Sam is Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat. We'll get there in a second. My apologies. Max. So I saw Max. I saw...
Right.
I forget the character's name. That's the blonde woman with the grandfather clock in the past you learn about. That has to do with Vecna, if I remember correctly, right?
The Creel family, right? Yeah. Like they tried. They tried.
Yeah, they definitely tried. Tried being the key word. And then there was the demo dog was kind of cool too. They had a demo dog,
an animatronic on a rail that kind of like chased you back and forth in the room.
It like popped forward
and went back. Yeah.
Not much to it. The biggest issue with this haunt, in my opinion, was a lot of wasted space. It was the hallways were huge. These rooms were huge and empty.
The word that I used to describe it yesterday, and I think it is the best word, is hollow. Yeah. It felt hollow.
Yeah, there wasn't much in it. There really wasn't. I wouldn't even say that it was the scare actors. It was more so the set decoration, like the sets themselves. You walk into these set pieces, and each room is
lackluster. And
so empty,
just bare. They were bare. Yeah,
yeah. There was just not much in there.
The vines from the upside down, like those big, thick, chunky black vines. And they had one room had maybe one or two of them, like actual vines, and the rest was just black spray paint on the wall. Which, I get it, budget constraints, whatever. But it did. It like again, the best way to describe it is it felt like a hollow experience. You're not going to get scared if you turn the corner and you're in a wide open, 8x10 room with nothing in it, and then you're just going to continue walking.
It was weird. It almost felt like it was not finished. It felt incomplete. Yeah. It almost felt like they rushed through it, which honestly might be the case considering what happened with stuff opening up really delayed. It feels incomplete. It feels like they didn't finish building it. Yeah. Funny story, and we'll move on to the next haunt because it takes us to the big guy Vecna inside this haunted attraction. We were going to one of the bars in the old Chiller roller. They have one of the facades from the old Chiller roller coaster, Batman and Robin Chiller roller coaster, is still there. And it was a Halloween themed bar.
R.I.P. bar.
Yeah, it was an old attraction, but now they're using it as a bar for this event, which was closed when we went this second time. But we went in there to check it out. And they were still working on the Stranger Things haunt at the time. And this was like 3 weeks ago at the time of this recording. We saw that Vecna animatronic clear as day because they were still working on it open wide. And we both got the three of us, because my wife was with us, we got a good chuckle when we saw the Vecna statue.
Right. And now that you see it in action, we, like based on the proximity of where we were, like we were coming out of the bar and it's facing the exit of the Stranger Things haunt. And that Vecna thing was literally in the same spot, just on this time.
It was the last thing you see in the haunt. And I will give it credit. He's kind of cool. He lifts off the grounds and
he levitates.
He raises his arms a bit and then he lowers himself. So I thought I didn't think it was horrible, but the haunt, like you said, was very hollow and did not feel finished.
It was missing music. It didn't have any kind of...
I think there was music, we just couldn't hear it because of all the noise.
There was some, like, I guess, generic, but, granted, they're not going to get the Kate Bush song, sure. They're not going to get maybe get, like, some key music from the series, right? Like, sell it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, just... disappointment. Don't want to shit on it too much. I don't want to compare it to the Halloween Horror Nights Stranger Things
I don't think there's really any way to
There's no way to compare. There was way more set detail and stuff in those shows. But, they tried. I think, give them that good old fashioned. They tried. They gave it their best.
A for effort.
So next was the Conjuring universe, which was sort of just a haunt based around all of the Conjuring movies or characters. You walk through the Warrens museum, that room in the film that has all the cursed objects and artifacts in it. Annabelle's in it several times. And I will say the doll looks great. She's in a case. And one point she's in a case and the case much like the demi-dog, jumps out at you at one point. It pops and hits the glass, so little startle there. You walk through hallways with crosses on the walls, and then the crosses start to, as you continue walking, they're upside down.
Upside down. Ooh.
There was a cool effect there with the crooked man. You don't ever see the crooked man. He's not physically there, or he wasn't when we went through.
They play the
toy.
That toy, right?
Yeah.
They play the projection of that toy of the crooked man.
Yeah, I feel like he's supposed to be there. Maybe he wasn't in when we were there, or we missed him.
Yeah, I mean, his
know.
umbrella is on the wall in one room. I get it. I get what they were going for. And execution-wise, I think that going on, this was a step up from what we just talked about.
Yeah, it had the most. So what I liked about The Conjuring, we're going to go into one or two more details on it, because there's one, probably the best
that we both agree. Yeah,
probably the best effect of the evening was in The Conjuring Haunted House.
Yes.
So what I liked about this haunt is that there was a lot of they caught the atmosphere at the best of their ability of the franchise, and it felt like you're walking through the movies.
It felt way more alive than the
version.
Stranger Things house. Yeah,
it's like a cosplay version.
They captured it well.
And then there was another really cool effect before the main event effect of this haunt. There was one that we went into a room and they had Annabelle on the floor and they were projecting the demon's shadow, and it was like this big monster shadow behind her. That was cool. You had the mother from the first movie floating with the blanket over her head tied up. She was literally levitating.
Being exorcised, yeah.
That was really cool. But probably the best effect in the Conjuring universe haunt. So the three of us entered. We walked down a hall. And in front of a narrow, which is what Stranger Things was missing, no narrow hallways. Right. We were walking down a hall. We turn a corner. In front of us, we see the Vecna painting.
Valak.
Sorry, I did that yesterday.
The Stranger Things,
I'm probably going to do that 50 times here. There's two V's. Vecna. Valak. We turn the corner. We see
the nun.
We see the nun, Valak. We see her painting on the wall. We're looking at it because we're like, there's something supposed to happen here. Then we see creepy fingers emerge behind it. The painting literally is lifted off the wall, lowered, and she's standing right behind it, and she jumps towards us. Yeah. That was sick.
It was very, very well done. I'm not super familiar with the Nun movies, but I believe that is a actual scare from the movies. Like that. The whole, like, she comes out of the painting thing. Obviously, it's a special effect in the movie, but the way they translated that special effect into the haunted house, I will confidently say, even though we're going to keep talking, the best scare in all of the haunts last night.
It was the best. It was the best kind of just effect. You could tell they put some thought into that one. Like they actually were like, you know what, we're gonna really scare people. It's freaky.
It worked really well. Yeah,
it looked freaky. The scare actor portraying the nun.
Yeah,
Valak
nailed it. Yeah, nailed it.
So good. That was such a good effect, and we were standing there and we were like not even scared. We were just admiring it's
cool. This is really well done. Yeah, absolutely.
So I give them a lot of credit. They did a good job with the Conjuring universe haunt. It was good. It was, and when we go through our rankings at the end, I have a feeling it's going to be high on our list. All right. Yeah. To keep moving, Saw: Legacy of Terror. I compare this to the Stranger Things house.
Yeah.
Very hollow. Very incomplete feeling. Kind of cool to walk through different rooms. A lot of people wearing
a lot of traps.
Yeah. The pig mask robe combo. A lot of that jumping out at you. And I think they were trying to implement that it was a game because you saw a lot of countdown clocks and like stopwatches or whatever you want to call that on the wall. A lot of blood smeared game over on the wall and things like that. This too had huge rooms that felt sort of empty and obviously bloody because it Saw. You had a bathtub full with guts. You saw the infamous bear trap. There was a girl screaming with the bear trap on her. You saw Jigsaw's security office where he watches everyone. Of course, Billy the puppet makes an appearance. You see him very early on jump out in front of you. A lot of gray walls. The coolest thing about this haunt, I will say, is at one point they separate your group.
Yes.
So there's two hallways. You can kind of go through each one. So like, funny enough, my wife accidentally went through one and Chris and I went through the other. And then we meet up with them again.
For a little bit.
She told me that the other hallway was just gray walls and there was nothing in that. We saw the bloody bathtub. We saw the room full of hanging meat, like hanging pig meat.
Like a meat locker, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess her hallway sucked and ours was the complete one. Hers was not finished yet. So that one was cool. Again, a lot of gray walls.
Also, again, going back to the music, like, in the world of horror, the Saw music is pretty well known at this point. Like, it's a pretty iconic theme, and it wasn't there.
Yeah, again, for Saw, it wasn't terrible. Like, I get what they were going for. I saw it's supposed to be the Gideon meatpacking factory or whatever warehouse
where Jigsaw does all his experiments. I love the Saw franchise, so there's a lot of recognizability in there. Like everything, even there's even some traps from the newest Saw X in there, like the eye trap that they have in there. That's in there. But I just feel like it again, like hollow. Like there should have been more to it. There was one point, and again, you're hiring whoever. They just want money. They're getting a job. I get it. Not everyone's gonna commit to the level of what you and I expect or what, big horror heads expect. There was one guy who was in a trap, and the trap is supposed to be that, your limbs are turning and you're kind of standing and like the old Da Vinci, man, like the limbs are being pulled and turned, and the guy was just standing in the thing, like
he looked tired.
Making a couple of whimpers. Yeah, and I get it. Like, he probably he's making an hour. It's not that important to him.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
got to put in a little bit more effort, I think.
Yeah, I know you're a big Saw guy, so I'm sure, again, going through it, you were expecting to see a lot of traps and a little more, accurate depictions of the traps.
Yeah.
And, for what it was cool. I didn't hate it.
I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was the
it had
worst
potential.
Thing there. It was. Yeah. When we get to the rankings, I feel like this is the one that separated the good from the bad. Kind of. Like it was flatly in the middle for me.
Yeah. Next up, Army of the Dead, based on that Netflix zombie movie I saw once. I'm not that familiar with the film.
Couldn't tell you much about it.
I don't remember. This was basically you're running through a zombie-ridden Las Vegas. Lots of kind of apocalyptic sets where you have destroyed casinos, flipped cars. Obviously, it's Army of the Dead, so it's littered with zombies. I'd say for a haunt that's supposed to have... Yeah, I was about to say littered. But for a haunt that's supposed to have zombies, there was maybe like 6 zombies when we went through. This was the last...
For a movie that's called Army of the Dead, it was more like Platoon or Squadron of the Dead at this point.
Group of the Dead.
Let's
group of zombies.
Temper those expectations.
Everything was, there was a couple people that gave it their all. There was like a zombie burlesque dancer at one point.
Yeah.
There was one.
She like mimics the I guess the main female zombie. I don't remember the movie. I do remember what that character looked like because it is a pretty cool look, and I remember that burlesque dancer is, I guess, supposed to be that character. She looked enough like her, so that was kind of cool. Like they nailed the likenesses of the major characters. I guess there was the zombie tiger at one point, and that's a thing I do remember from the movie. But yeah, like I don't want to judge it too harshly because it's not a movie that I really remember or care about. So I'm not gonna be like, well, they didn't do this right, did it? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's no emotional attachment to this film, so I don't know. There was one person that kind of got me. I remember walking through this. He was pretending to be a dealer at a blackjack table or something. He was a zombie. He looked like a dummy, and he did jump out at me.
Actually, did a scare.
He got me. I'll give him whoever that was. I give him credit. He did a good job. He did make me jump.
He's listening right now. He's proud.
One of the few jump scares that got me in this haunt, at least. He did a good job because he looked fake because they had like fake zombie like mannequins and then real people. But yeah, it was all right. It wasn't the best, but I don't want. I'm avoiding giving my ranking with this.
Right. Yeah,
we did leave a little like that's it, and we'll leave it at that. Next, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, here's a quick little thing before we dive into this one. So we walked past this haunt. We were heading there first.
This was an interesting thing.
This was bizarre. We get there. It's about 10:30. Event ends at midnight. The gentleman security at the front tells us that the haunt is closed. And we were like, how is this closed? The park's open for another 90 minutes.
Right.
So we were like, this makes no sense. And I heard other people bitching to him, saying like, why is this closed? There's
justifiably, people were justifiably angry that within 90 minutes of a park closing, you're going to start shutting stuff down.
So that was weird. So we went to
not the greatest.
We went to another haunt, and I even told you guys, let's walk back around to see if it's open, and it was, and we went through it. Now this haunt
went right in, no wait, no line.
It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Great. So this one, again, based on the film that came out, I think 2021, 2022. It was like 2-3 years ago. The Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
We did a review of that, so go back and listen to that episode.
We did. Yeah, good reference there. Little plug. We did review that. Chris and I reviewed that back when it came out. So this was... We heard one guy in line, like when we were waiting for The Conjuring, tell us this was lame. I think he undersold it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I think it was a good depiction of the film. I don't hate the movie like most people do. I know you don't hate it either.
No, not at all.
And I think they hit on a lot of moments, featured moments in the film. You know, the party bus you walk through. You literally walk through that party bus scene where Leatherface kills all the people in the party. Could they have put maybe more zombies, but corpses in the party bus?
Absolutely. They had a Sally Hardesty scare actor who, you know, she nailed the look. She nailed the old, like, toughened Sally Hardesty that is in the Texas Chainsaw. She had the cool, like, white braid and everything, sort of like the old Sarah Connor look to her. Like, I thought they captured that really well. They did it. There was one really cool sequence early on where you see Leatherface, like, putting someone's face on.
Yeah, it's the sunflower patch scene where the car crashes into the sunflower area, right? Yeah, that was cool.
So they did a lot with the history of could have done a lot with the history of the franchise, but they were relegated to this one movie. And I think that they still did enough that it felt like a cool Texas Chainsaw overall haunt, you know?
Yeah, it felt like you were in a barn too for a good chunk of it. And you said a lot of the scenes from the film. The face mask is in there. There's a scene where it looks like you're under a bed and you see the guy with his face missing, which is a scene from the movie where she's hiding under the bed and the guy's body falls and his face is all caved in. We do see Sally when she gets killed at the end of the film. She like sacrifices herself to confront Leatherface. They actually had a guy as Leatherface, obviously, jamming a chainsaw through the chest of a fake Sally.
Yeah,
and like we saw it come out through her back.
Cool. It looked really cool.
And like I said, the party bus that had to be featured in it. That's such a prominent scene in that movie,
where he goes on a massacre inside that party bus. Yeah,
and all the Leatherface were like big dudes for the most part.
They
were all tall. We're both kind of tallish guys, and they were bigger than us.
But they were bigger than us. Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty good that they were able to kind of cast the right people for this haunt. I didn't hate it, man. I did not hate this haunt. So I enjoyed my time through it. Next up, Trick or Treat. Big one for Halloween enthusiasts like us, and for people that I'm sure guys listening to you guys listening to the show, you guys know Trick or Treat. Have not covered it on the podcast yet, but I'm sure we will in the future.
One of my personal favorites, like as a film, the anthology. I love it. Yeah. So I was very much looking forward to this house.
And I was concerned about this one because Halloween Horror Nights also did a Trick or Treat house a few years ago. I did go through it and it was fantastic. This one, they did a good job too. The houses got better as the night went on, and we were like so taken back by that. So, like this one, you see every set piece. You've got obviously Sam makes several appearances.
Yeah.
Not Sam from the Stranger Things house, like I said. He actually is in this house.
Right.
You see Sam. You see the teacher killing the boy who's vomiting that he poisons with the candy. You see the Ronnie Cox character getting attacked by Sam. Sam's climbing. There's
Brian Cox.
Is it Ryan Cox? What did I just say?
Brian
Cox, whatever his name is. Brian. I am butchering everyone's name in this episode.
Yes, we visit his house. Like we go into his bedroom. Like they hit the major set pieces. They have the Leslie Bibbs character with the big mouth with the lollipop jammed in there and the lights like right at the front. The werewolves, the school bus. They hit it all.
You had Anna Paquin's character dressed as Little Red Riding Hood. I remember her name. So you have her sitting there. You have her there dressed as Little Red Riding Hood popping out. It was good. They did a really good job kind of recreating all the scenes that happened throughout the film.
Yes. They have the coolest thing that I think is toward the end of the house. They have like you mentioned, they had a bunch of Sams. They have the unmasked Sam on the ceiling.
Yeah.
As he's about to jump and attack Brian Cox.
Not Ryan? Sure it's not Ryan Cox?
It's Brian.
Yeah, it was good. The really cool, my favorite segment in that haunt was at the very end. It looks like you're inside of a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
And Sam's sitting on a throne. Really sick looking. Like, I wish I could have taken a picture of it. It was really cool. Yeah, you can't take any. I snuck in a couple of photos here and there for the episode, but you're not supposed to, guys. But yeah, that was a really cool kind of set piece. Just him sitting on this throne inside of a pumpkin. You see all the guts.
Yeah, that was very cool.
You smell kind of a pumpkin aroma.
Yes.
Really cool. They did a lot of a lot of references to the film, so I can appreciate that. And even when we left, you were like, "Oh, that was pretty good." Like they did a good job.
Like you could see what they were aiming for, much clearer than some of the other ones.
And it was inside of a little house, which added to the whole kind of vibe of it feeling like a trick or treat house. All right, so that's it for the IP. Let's run through the final 3 original haunts. I don't have much to say about this next one. That's Big Top Terror 3D. So this is a standard. And again, there's really, every Halloween event has one of these. The standard evil clown, neon painted walls, 3D haunt. Just a bunch of clowns. Things are really shiny. A really bad 3D that doesn't really work. That's it. If you've been through one, you've been through them all. That's what I will say about Big Top Terror.
I also will say what colored my experience of it. We were in a group with a guy who just absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
Like a person, like one of the people going through the house with us at the time, the guy was the fucking worst.
Yeah, he was like talking shit the whole time.
Yeah, like trying to be the cool guy. And I get it. Everybody's got that person in their group. But god damn, it's so annoying. Just let the people do their damn job. Like for me, that's a personal pet peeve of mine. Like don't, if you're going to be too cool for school, like don't even bother. Yeah. I hate that. Yeah. But I can't use that as a knock on the house. The guy just sucked.
Yeah. I remember him in front of us. It was bad. Yeah. But again, standard stuff. This wasn't anything you have never seen. If you go through a lot of haunted attractions, it's
a very easy one to recreate no matter where you do it. There's a couple little differences to it here, but like you said, it's scary clowns.
I'll be honest, nothing stood out to me about this haunt.
I genuinely can't remember.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember waiting on the line. I remember the guy, and I remember that's it. Yeah.
Dude, I've been, as a guy who's been going to haunts his entire life, I've been through at least 5 that have this theming. So they're breaking no new ground. Six Flags, get rid of this haunt and do something different. This is not actually, when I was there 5 years ago, they still had it and I went through it and it was the same shit. And I feel the same way. It was not a great haunt. Next up, the Asylum. Now, this for an original haunt was very well done. Basically,
very, very well done.
It's an asylum, one of those places. Yes. People that are not
mental
well.
Asylum, an insane asylum.
I don't want to say that. Yeah, people that are not well. Very bloody. Lots of limbs. Lots of. It was gorier than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. Lots of blood. Tables filled with gore. Limbs, decapitations, some security guards.
Really great animatronics doing some really fucked up shit.
The one thing that I remember about this haunt I really liked was there was a lot of like halls, corridors where you're passing different cells, different people's cells.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was one that really stood out to me was as you're going through that, like the cell corridors, there's a guy bashing an animatronic bashing his head into the cell door, and it's covered in blood. Yeah, and it worked really well. It's loud. He's grunting while he does it. It was really cool.
And the other animatronic that stood out to me was we entered a room. This is towards the end. We entered a room, and there was a little baby creature, like monster with a knife, and it ran towards us as we entered. It just ran toward. That was really good. That was a good little, really creepy. I've never seen that in a haunted attraction before. So that's an animatronic I don't see too often. So I appreciated that one. But this one was good. Really good at the best atmosphere.
I also feel like, I was going to say it might have been the longest one that we went through. Maybe close to
Conjuring
6 minutes, 8 minutes walk through. Really good length.
Asylum and Conjuring were probably the two longest haunts out of the bunch. But this one was just kind of the way they made you feel like you were in an asylum with lunatics ripping people apart, eating people, running amok. Basically, the inmates are running the asylum. That's what this haunt is. And they just set it up. Just the setup of it is really well done. And finally, the last haunt. The Witch's Reflection. We went to this the first visit as well. We went Big Top Terror and The Witch's Reflection were the two that were open when we went during preview weekend. This haunt, really cool gimmick. It's a house of mirrors inhabited by witches. Yeah. Literally what it is. And it's hard to tell which way you're going because, again, House of Mirrors.
I love a good House of Mirrors. I do. Yeah. I will always love a good House of Mirrors.
A lot of kind of spooky witches, which you think of like a Halloween creepy witch behind the opposite side of the mirror, kind of jumping out at you, freaking you out, getting you lost. You don't know which way you're going. A really effective way to sort of take that gimmick and make it a haunt. Because I'll be honest, I've gone through very few House of Mirror haunted attractions. There's not many. I think a safety reason they don't do them that often. Right. But this one was bright enough where you can sort of figure out which way you were going. There wasn't a lot of decorations, but there were a lot of scare actors.
They were well-placed decorations too, because it was like the cauldron would be adjacent to the mirror, so you would think that you could walk to where the cauldron is and then you walk into the mirror. So the decorations that were there were served it well.
And we did get lost a couple times going through.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
If they made it a tad bit darker, it would have been even harder to get through. But I don't think they could do that for safety reasons. So those are the haunts. Let's wrap up here. We'll share our rankings and then final thoughts.
Part here.
Our rankings. I'm gonna let you start, Chris. We're gonna do our rankings and then final thoughts of the full event and our final rating. So, what is your ranking?
All right, we're going best to worst here, right?
Best to worst.
All right, and I kind of gave my hand away a little earlier, but here I am, best haunt to worst haunt. I will rank the Asylum as the top one.
Okay.
As I said, creative, awesome, super fun. Next up was The Conjuring, another really great, well done house, well executed. The best scare of the night was in The Conjuring house. I loved it. I thought it was great. My third, Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, again, okay.
Really, really well done. I just, for the IPs, I think those were the best two. They did them really well. They captured what the essence of the movies were. After that, I'm going to go Trick or Treat because still really, really well. Top 4, that's a solid top 4. Then The Witch's Reflection. I think, again, great, but I like the IP ones a little bit better. And this is my middle right here. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. I'm going to say Saw right in the middle. And then from here on out, I would say that these houses were kind of bad. Okay. I will use the word bad. I think they were bad. Army of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I can't put it at the very bottom just because I can't be too critical because I don't know the movie that well.
The sets were pretty good in that one. The sets were cool, yeah.
Big Top Terror. Again, we talked about it. I'm not going to rehash it. It's been done before. And then the worst house of the night, absolutely Stranger Things.
Damn.
I think that they're doing themselves a disservice by and again, like you said, maybe it was supposed to be done better. Maybe we didn't get all the actors in there. Maybe it's unfinished. But they're doing themselves a disservice by anchoring all of their marketing around Stranger Things. And then it turning out to be the worst house in the park.
Yeah. And probably the one people are running to
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
sucks.
It's going to be the most anticipated, and it's going to be the biggest letdown.
Biggest turd, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
A big Vecna-sized turd. All right.
Yeah.
Here's my listing now. From best to worst. The Asylum, much like you, that to me, that just made me feel like, it felt like an old school haunt, and that's what I want in my haunted attractions. I want to be immersed in this world when I'm going through it. I want to appreciate the setting that I'm being put through and the situation I'm being put through. So that's number one, The Asylum. Number two, The Conjuring universe. That was a little bit of a battle because I felt that The Conjuring universe, like I said, gave me that same vibe. I felt the atmosphere matched the tone of the film. And I think they did a good job with the wallpapers and everything that you're going through and the scenes you're seeing. Number three, Trick or Treat. I too love that movie. And it also gave me the same kind of feeling that, like, okay, this was a decent job with capturing the essence of the film and just bringing that movie to life. Number four, The Witch's Reflection. I just thought the gimmick of the House of Mirrors with witches worked well. Number five, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Really, again, just it's Leatherface. I'm gonna appreciate anything with that character in it because I love Leatherface, regardless of the iteration, the version of him. I'm still gonna like it. That's number five, right? Number six, Saw, Legacy of Terror. It's a little lower on my end simply because I felt like it was
that's the same spot I had it in, right in the middle.
I appreciate the attempt. It felt like there was a little effort put into it, but again, much like Stranger Things, a little hollow and empty, like you said, Chris.
I think it was the separator of the good from the bad.
Number seven, Big Top Terror. You already know how I feel about the Clown House. Number eight, Army of the Dead. Similar to you. I didn't want to be too hard on it, but sets were cool. But other than that, it just didn't bring me in. I was just like, whatever when I left. And wrapping it all up, in the last spot, Stranger Things.
They are not running up that hill.
They are not running up that hill. It's I want to leave that. I want to leave the Upside Down in this situation. I don't want to be there. Biggest disappointment. Six Flags has to step it up. Just that haunt did not do it. It wasn't it, guys. It was not it. It was, if I waited. We waited maybe 20 minutes for that. If we waited 2 hours,
I'd be pissed.
Yes, I'd be pissed off. We did not do a fast pass. It was not worth it the night we went.
No, not at all.
Stranger Things. Luckily, it was the first one. We got it out of the way. We waited maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It wasn't a bad wait. And thank God, because it sucked. Maybe it got better later on in the night. We don't know. But let us know if you went through the Stranger Things house at Six Flags Great Adventure, Fright Fest Extreme this year, 2024, and you loved it. Please let us know why. Maybe we just had a different
experience. Sure,
maybe it was a bad timing thing for us. It was the first haunt of the night, so it sucked. Big F for that one. But yeah, Chris.
So we had the same top two and same bottom one. So
close. Yeah. But yeah, Chris, overall thoughts and ranking. We're going 5 pumpkins here. Grimy brought back the pumpkins recently, so I wanted to bring that back here. We're doing 5 pumpkins. What would you rate Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme 2024? Your overall experience. We went twice. What's the ranking? The overall situation.
I am going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am shocked.
I had a great time. I did. And again, I have not been to Six Flags prior to this in about 15, 20 years. Yeah. So going back as an adult was a lot of fun both times. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 pumpkins just because there were some hiccups, like the going twice to do the entire Fright Fest thing is not ideal. Yeah. But we had fun. I think it was good. You know, some of the lamer haunts, I'm not going to knock them too hard. I get what they're trying to do. So I'm going to go 4 out of 5.
Not bad. I'm shocked at your rating. I thought you'd be maybe a 3.
I was considering it. I like as you were asking it, I was like, I was going to go 3.5, but I'm bumping it up to a full 4.
Now I'm hard to please because I've been to them all. I've been to all the big amusement park Halloween events. So I'm going in this critical. and it's with love. Six Flags. I'm doing this great adventure. You
want them to be better.
I want you guys to be better. I'm going a 2.5 right down the middle out of 5. And this is why. And it goes with what I just said. The potential is there.
Yeah.
Get your shit together, guys. You guys can have a fantastic Halloween event. I'm not shitting on the crowds. I'm not shitting on any of that. You can get a fast pass if you want. I'm just like, as someone that has been going since the 90s, previous years, and I think they have new owners now and all that.
Yes.
But you guys have it in you to have a killer Halloween event. Be a little more organized. Be a little more prepared. I read that this is not a new trend. Apparently, this happened last year with them announcing dates, and it turned into previews, and not all the haunts were open. Guys, if you want to compete with Universal Studios, with Not Scary Farm, with Dorney Park, with Hershey Park, all these Halloween events, you got to step it up. They have their shit together. Don't start until October if not everything's put together. Certifications, actors. They were still hiring scare actors the day we went, October 5th.
Yeah, right.
I could not believe that when I saw that.
You're in the month.
You have potential. I had a good time. I had fun. I was in good company, obviously, with you guys. And we had a good time. We had drinks. We went through all the haunts. We got on coasters. I love the Batman coaster. It's one of my favorite of all time. I get on it every time I go. It's a fun event, but you're frustrated. If you're someone like me who goes to these events, reviews them, you're not going to be happy leaving at the end of the night. If you're just going with your family and friends and you guys just want to have fun, you don't care about going through all the haunts, you're going to have a good time. But if you're someone like me who goes to these things every year, multiple events, it's going to leave you.
If you have the dedication, then they should have the dedication.
Exactly. If I can sit here for an hour and talk about this event, they can set it up better. Again, 2.5. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all good though either.
Well, I think the best way to put it is what was good, and what was bad was really bad.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going right down the middle. Yeah. Will I go again in the future? Possibly. I don't know if I'd pay my hard-earned money. If Six Flags, you want to give me some comp tickets in the future, I'll review you again. But it's going to take a lot. Yeah, I'll be waiting another 5 years. Not that they give a shit, but that's my assessment. If you love, this is my final thoughts to close out this episode. If you love haunted attractions, if you love Halloween events, and you want to have a good evening of just have drinks, hang out with your friends, your family, go through haunts, have a good time, go through everything, and you're a haunt enthusiast, this is not the event for you. If you're 19 and you're a casual Halloween lover and you just want to go to a Halloween event, you don't care about going through all of them, you don't care about the crowds, you don't care about the rush, this is fine. It's fine. Get on Batman the coaster, get on, maybe Texas Chainsaw, miss Stranger Things because it's a 3-hour wait. Get on Texas Chainsaw, get on Trick or Treat. I could tell you right now, you're not going through all 9 if you're trying to do the shows and everything else. So it just depends on your caliber of your enthusiasm for these events, for these Halloween events. If you're a haunt lover, a haunted attraction enthusiast, you're going to see this is fucking sucks. If you're casual, this is for you. That's where I'll leave it. That's where I'll leave Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme 2024. You enter at your own discretion, and that's not because it's scary. So those were our thoughts on Six Flags Great Adventure Fright Fest Extreme 2024.
The good, the bad, the really bad,
the really ugly. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, X at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com where you can find links to everything, including our Patreon page, where you get early access to episodes, bonus content, etc. Rate and review us. It'd be greatly appreciated. And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is
more booze.
Catch you guys later.